Hey everyone, this is Pan Bam Richard here presenting to you AC Radio at www.abyssalchronicles.com where Tales is our life. This episode is for Saturday, September 15th, 2018, as I'm joined here by AC Radio co-host Dimension Slip and as well AC owner herself, A745, also known as Abby. How are you doing, by the way?
Hi.
First time on the show, long time owner. She's
Hi.
the reason why we're all here.
Yeah. Hello, Abby. Nice to
Hi,
have
Flip.
you here.
Finally.
Yeah, so we thank you for taking the time to speak with us here. As it's been a very heavy news week, that's for sure. Because first thing we're going to go into is Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, particularly the announcement of the release and the special edition. First off, it's been confirmed that the Definitive Edition will be coming out on January 11th, 2019, worldwide. So that includes Japan, North America, Europe, we're all getting it on January 11th. Now, folks may say, oh, well, that kind of happened too for Tales of Symphonia Steam, but we're talking about an actual new, fresh release. And this
Yeah.
is like the first time that we're feeling we actually had something like that in the franchise, closest being as well with Vesperia in 2008, where it was like a 3 week gap between Japan and North America. And even still, Europe had it a year after. So, release date itself, there's just this one thing about this release date that
I
definitely
know. I think
lingered in
we
my
talked about
mind.
I know, right? It's just wow.
it.
What were they thinking?
Should we address the elephant in the room? Who would like to address that elephant?
Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, yeah,
Why?
go right ahead.
So Kingdom Hearts 3 is releasing, if I'm right, January 29th.
Yes.
So practically just a couple of weeks away or after Vesperia Definitive Edition's release, which is sort of a really bad idea. Tales has a thing for these things. Like they always release their games like a couple of weeks, a week before or after some other major game that you know in your heart is going to get more sales. But yeah.
Yeah, Slip, what about you?
Yeah, I was at first I didn't really think much of the release date, but I started thinking on it a bit and thought that wait, January 2019. That month and year sounds very familiar, and yeah, I remember that as Abby said, KH releases the same month, so it's like, oh god, I'm kind of worried and wondering why they would do that, but I guess they thought that 111 is a pretty date. I have no idea.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. Like I remember tweeting 3 months ago in June. It's like any JRPG that comes out around January is gonna be signing their death warrant. And then lo and behold, I hear Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. I'm like, well, let's just see what happens. I mean, this isn't the first time that Tales of has experienced that before, and honestly, it's just. I remembered I mentioned it to my friend. It's like, oh, you should probably play a Tales of game. It's like, oh yeah, what's coming out? Oh yeah, it's Tales of Vesperia coming out in January, and it's like, wait, isn't that Kingdom Hearts? Like, yeah, guess what? It totally is. Like, that's the thing, because like
The first thing in their
everybody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because like the hype for Kingdom Hearts 3 is very real. Like even here, like they've been really going for the I wouldn't say very hard because, but they are promoting it a good bit.
Really?
Yeah, like although this was a few months ago, there was like they had a train station. Okay, it's not Tales anymore, but um, yeah, for Kingdom Hearts 3, they had like some sort of promotion campaign in a very busy train station, like in Shinjuku. So
Oh,
yeah,
crap.
there were a lot of people like pass by the thing and actually take the time to look at the thing, even though it's just like stuff they already released online, like old trailers.
Yeah, and the hype for that game is very much real. And I mean, what? Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006, and I did dabble a lot into that game, and I said to myself, I'm just going to play the main titles, and it took a very long time until Kingdom Hearts 3 was even announced for release. So, um yeah, I mean, it's just I really hope that it doesn't affect too much about Definitive Edition, but I just hope that the producers won't take it as a huge dictation about general response for Tales of, considering that game, Kingdom Hearts, being in the same release month. That's my
Mhm.
only hope.
Me too. That's
I
what
wish they
what
just
I
went
hope as well.
with,
Like maybe
but
they
like,
just went a little lax on the date because I mean people already have experienced Vesperia, so this is just like some sort of added bonus or something. And wait, Abby, you were saying something? Sorry about that.
I wish they. Oh, sorry. I wish they just went with the winter 2018 release. Like when they said winter 2018, I was thinking December or November.
Um, Winter here is around like December, January, so
Yeah, but they
yeah,
placed like a 2018 thing, did they? I can't remember.
They
I can't remember either.
they put in this winter, so it was very
Ah,
yeah. They didn't say for sure if it was 2018 or 2019. They just said this winter at the end of the E3 trailer.
darn it.
Yeah, many people really hoped that it was coming out around like the placeholder date even, but yeah, I mean, again, we'll only
Yeah,
see what happens as we go on with that release date there.
it's
Any final thoughts
yeah.
about it?
On the bright side, at least it's not after Kingdom Hearts releases.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is a bright side that we can look at based on the current release date decided at hand. So, moving on forward from the release date, they did announce more about the special edition or 10th anniversary edition if you're from Japan. It's intriguing first because like we got that news first in English, where I believe Bandai Namco of UK or Tales of You, the Twitter account, one of those accounts tweeted out the repeat steel box, and we're going to announce more information later on. But then we got even more information about the 10th anniversary edition for um, the Japanese release, where it included First Strike, an art book, a special box, standee sort of thing, and special artwork for that particular edition as well. Which is, I mean, I would presume like it'll probably be like similar to the English release, but overall it seems like a pretty solid collection, especially considering that they have First Strike in there too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty neat, and the fact that Kosuke Fujishima also created like new art for it. That's really nice.
That's decent.
Yeah. They also did that for Symphonia, as I recall.
Yeah, for Symphonia, we did. Oh, for what's the Unisonant pack? I
Yes.
can't.
Yep. The Chronicles. Yeah.
Chronicles, yeah.
Yeah, they did that both for the artwork for the standard edition and the ufotable artwork that was in the collector's edition
Oh, I
surrounding the
love that.
box itself. Yeah. It was a very solid package, and I think I like this one slightly more because it does have like the First Strike Edition movie to it, and that movie is like okay on its own too, and it does give like a bit of a prelude for those who may not have played Vesperia or are going to be introduced to some of the DLC content that the PS3 version has, which is going to be self-contained in this game.
The problem is if you're like a Tales of Vesperia fan, who's gonna get the 10th anniversary edition? There's like an 80 to 90% chance that you already have First Strike in your collection.
Yeah, that's that's also the fair point there. I mean, I guess like if we were to remove that, then we only have the art book, the standee, and the box. And well, we don't even know what's fully confirmed in the English version either. So, um, does it leave much credence for those who are Vesperia fans? Maybe for those who were just like casually into the 360 version and may not have like bought the movie. But if you're very much hardcore into the series, then yeah, justifying the price may not be much. What do you think, Slip?
Yeah. I mean, like it's pretty expensive. Like um, I guess part of it might be due to the First Strike being included, but yeah. Yeah, I just think it's quite expensive.
Isn't it almost the same price as the usual whatever bundles Japan has, like the previous
Um,
Lalabit editions?
yeah, it's similar in that sense. Yeah.
But with the current exchange rate, it's expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment too much about the Japanese edition since I don't buy those ones personally. Um, but yeah, I guess like for Vesperia fans, as you mentioned, Abby, with regards to the first strike, the other items may not justify the price if we remove that movie alone.
Yes, because over here, like the game discs are really expensive. Like it's not uncommon for a JRPG to be like eight 8,000 yen or something. So if we think of the disc as about 8,000 yen, so that's like about 10,000 yen for like the extras. And I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's worth that much, but I guess the
Mhm.
price just reached that amount because of the extra movie.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just see what happens in the future. But with regards to the Japanese version, I'm just curious to see what will be contained in the English version, if they'll even consider putting in the movie. I think they most likely will because they've already dubbed it. But I'm curious to see what else they are going to add because the English branches are being still somewhat quiet about it, even after
Yeah.
they announced the steel.
Maybe they are debating on whether to add the movie or not, because I bet a lot of people might complain, like, hey, I already got the Blu ray, so.
I'm not from the US, so I wasn't actually able to see this until right now. But if you like Google the Western bundle, the Tales of Vesperia Anniversary bundle, there are links that come up on the Bandai Namco's US store. Although, like, if I click it by myself, I can't access it because I think I'm in the Philippines. But if I use a proxy, they have it listed actually at 99.99.
Yes, they did announce that at the same time that they announced the Steelbook. The reason why we didn't really note anything is because they didn't mention anything in the bundle either. All they say is like, oh, there's going to be exclusive collectibles, but that's pretty much it. We're still very much in the dark about what's in the bundle.
Did they ever like open pre-orders, or was this just a waiting list?
There's only a waiting list. There's no
Ah,
pre-order links that are put up in any other outlet, only in the Bandai Namco store. Other than that, is there anything else for the definitive edition that we want to comment on? I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing whatever the English special anniversary bundle has.
Well, on that note, I just like to call out Kathy for doing a great job in translating that Vesperia interview.
Yes.
And
yeah.
in relation to that, like I like how they acknowledged, the Western fans in that interview, in the sense of, hey, we know that people in the West are very interested in this. So yeah, they hear everyone's voice, so that's really nice, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yes, very much appreciative of Kathy being very diligent with his translations of the interview. Yes, thank you, Kathy. Regarding that, because I was also gonna like mention this in the next topic, but since we're here, the I what I really do like about the new producer is that he seems to be very transparent and very specific about the details that he's talking about. Particularly when he was talking about the transitional means of like porting Vesperia to HD consoles and how like it took some time and trouble for them to do it, but they managed to do it just fine. And I was happy to hear that the interview revealed that they were very much aware of the Western reception of the announcement, and at the same time also being aware and being more open to us. So it's like a step in the right direction for what we're hearing so far from the new producer, that being Yusuke Tomizawa.
I'm looking
Are
forward
you?
to the art.
Yeah, I think they showed like little bits of it during the trailer there too. And
Yeah.
if there's one thing that I can definitely say for sure about Vesperia, no matter how many years have passed, that game's graphic engine definitely aged well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's. I mean, like to this date, it looks really beautiful.
Yeah, and that cutscene about when Estelle walks up, and then you see like the overview that they always use in every single trailer about Vesperia. I noticed, but for good reason, because it shows off just how beautiful the world is that Vesperia uses in terms of its graphics engine. With that aside as well, we will move on to the next major topic, which is, in fact, Tales of Crestoria. Wow. I just woke up randomly one morning. It's like, oh, look, new Tales of game. What? Hold up. Let me let me reel it back and catch up on a lot of this stuff here because Tales of Crestoria. We had two trailers revealed on September 11th as well with the Crestoria Twitter account. Basically, we saw like a short 25-second trailers about the main character that we learned the name of as Kanata and a villain as well from his perspective. So it was kind of cool how they had that viewed there. And to go further into it, essentially, the quote from the Twitter page, as advised and translated by Abby, it's like, I protected the person most important to me. I saved the person of most importance to me. I was born in this world. I will live on, even if it would be a sin to do so, which further leads into the background that was revealed in Famitsu. Thank you, Slip and Kathy, for both working on this. Yes, essentially, it talks about how there's this world where everybody's required to wear these devices known as vision orbs that record basically everything that whoever wears it sees, and it's like essentially transmitted and kept on record under Vision Central. And if anybody commits like a crime or anything like that, then the citizens that are watching use prayers to vote whether they're innocent or guilty. And when guilty verdicts are sent, then the is accused and branded with a crest, hence the name Tales of Crestoria, and then an executioner is sent to hunt them down. So the main character, Kanata Hyuga, even though it's pronounced Hijuga, I don't know, something, Tales
Huber.
naming. Yes, Hyuga.
Hugo sounds okay.
I want to call it Hijuger based on how it's spelled, but
Hugo.
anyway, Hijuger. But designed by Kosuke Fujishima and voiced by Kohei Amasaki. Kohei Amasaki, I don't hear too much, but still relatively fresh. Has been featured in such animes like Boku no Hero or My Hero Academia, whatever you prefer. As well with the Mobile Suit Gundam. So he's still relatively fresh, so it's nice to hear. I would like to hear some of his performances into this role, but essentially the character Kanata is all about him being a son of a monk, and he always wants to protect the weak, but it's a little bit too blunt for his own good. And essentially, he is fascinated by the entirety of vision orbs until a certain event occurs where he's suddenly pronounced guilty and is now considered a pariah. And the reason why a reason that he provides is that he protected someone important to him. So it's similar to what we got from the Twitter account 2 days ago. So knowing this background, and by the way, I didn't mention this, but it's going to be on mobile platforms exclusively. And the producer was very much clear in indicating that this game is just solely for the mobile platforms, but it's not distracting from the mothership titles nor from whatever future titles are going to be coming out on home consoles. So I'm glad that they clarified that. But out of curiosity, what are some impressions that both of you have about the game?
On my end, like when it first dropped, the first question was like, wasn't there like supposed to be a mothership title? Um, well, well, that was a main question. Like, is it the new mothership title? But it kind
Yeah.
of contradicts what was announced last Tales Fest because they were like very specific about it being for a home console. So there was that confusion. So I'm really glad that they clarified that, hey, this is not the mothership title they were talking about during Tales of Festival. So that was nice. Although, yeah, I think it kind of came out of the left field, but I'm kind of interested in where they're going with this because this, while the premise seems not very Talesy in some sense of the word, well, on my end, it's my kind of jam because I'm not the only one who probably thinks of this, but it does remind me a little of Psychopass.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
So, yeah, I'm really interested to see where they go with this concept, especially with like, since it seems like a pretty heavy story, but they're gonna integrate
On
some sort
mobile.
of gotcha, yes, on mobile, and then they all have a gotcha system most likely. So yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go with it,
Nice.
but it seems like yeah, it would be very very interesting. What about you guys?
For me, um, I actually really like the. I'm not sure if these are like cutscenes, the ones they showed us in the trailer. But is it is it even animated, or is it like the 3D-ish type of animation? I
I
couldn't
think
really
it's 3D-ish. Yeah.
3D-ish type.
A part of me feels like it's because like the producer is from God Eater. Like a part of me feels like it's ufotable because like it feels very much familiar to the God Eater anime series back
Yeah.
when I was watching on Crunchyroll. Like the animation style. The more that I look at it.
Now that you mention it, yeah, it does have shades of similarity to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like 3D-ish. That's actually what caught my attention, but I was surprised, like, it's for mobile. Like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and speaking of mobiles, like I'm not probably the only one thinking this. Like I saw also a lot of tweets about this. Like, will my phone be able to handle it?
Yeah. I mean, looking at the graphics, if that particular screenshot of Sugar is like rendered in the in game, it looks really good.
Yeah, and then like the thing that comes to mind to that is just like how much battery life is it's going to drain from your mobile
Oh
device,
well.
considering the quality.
Yeah.
Like I get that there are like quality options that you can like apply to the game, but I like one thing that comes to mind is that I really do hope that this game doesn't require you to be connected online over and over and over again because a lot of the most recent mobile titles, heck, even Tales of Fantasia on iOS. Don't remind me about that app. But anyway, like that game required you to connect online every single time, every single time, every single time. So it's just a big part of like the battery being drained, like is the connection that the game has to do from the app to online every single time. So if they just keep it solely based on the game itself without having it connect online, which it may be the case, then that would help in terms of battery life for sure.
Although I've seen games like, 'cause when I'm always at work, I heavily play mobile games. Like I just download a new one and then see if it's okay. If I take a while, okay. If I don't like it, I erase it. But I've seen games with graphics similar to these, so I think a phone can handle it. Because my
Maybe it
phone is like
depends on
last year generation phone, so it can handle most of it. Though yeah, the battery gets drained really fast.
can your phone handle race curiously or
Yep, it can.
Yeah, it
uh
can. It's just I don't play it too often unless I'm like connected to a USB cord myself.
I see. On my end, my phone can handle race, but the gameplay is very choppy. So yeah, that's why I'm pretty worried about this game in particular.
Yeah.
Like Crestoria, I don't know if my phone can handle it, to be honest.
Yeah, like I mean, the gameplay performance is definitely a huge point to bring up because like when you bring that up for Tales of the Race, I remember trying to like get through some quests and then like I find myself losing because like my game was like choppy at certain points where it would have been nice timing wise to have gotten the art at the correct moment. And for a game as very particular about timing like the Tales of series, I really do hope that Crestoria takes that into account without ruining the immersion about the linear motion battle system. But that's a very difficult hurdle to hop over.
Like the worst you
Yeah.
can get is something like, oh, the cutscenes are like these, the graphics are like these, but then when you play, it's like Asteria.
Oh, please no, please no! I don't want to think about that.
Asteria plays smoothly on my phone, but for very self-explanatory reasons.
Yeah.
Wait. The trailer's like, oh, it's the next Tales of game. The Tales of experience. Here, have some more Asteria gameplay. It's like, what? I don't remember Tales of being like that.
Slide.
Uh, So I guess like more so on the gameplay side of things. I do hope because like there are a lot of like general apps that take advantage of controller support.
Mm.
And one thing that comes to mind is that I do hope that Crestoria does take advantage of that feature because I prefer playing Tales of games with the controller personally. As much as like
Mhm.
Raze has handled the whole swiping mechanics and touchscreen mechanics fine on the phone, I rather like at the back of my mind when I'm playing through Raze, I'd be like, I'd rather play this with the controller because I find myself um, just messing up some art inputs because it wasn't taking it properly due to it suddenly being choppy. And I feel like having a Bluetooth controller, like even though there would be some lag in between inputs, it would be a nice feature to see if Crestoria were to assume that whole having the full Tales of experience on mobile devices. One thing that also does come in mind for myself is that like I really do hope that like we all know about the other three games that Tales of has released on mobile devices. They very much excel in in-app purchases, and I do hope that it doesn't really focus on that too much. But based on the whole pre-registration campaign for Crestoria, it certainly seems like they're leaning towards that direction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You really can't like omit that in any mobile game because that's how they earn most of
Yes.
their what's that
Yep.
money,
Um.
especially in
Yeah.
Japan, right? Yep.
Yes. Like, oh God, every system I
Everything.
have worked on has some sort of gotcha thing going on for it. So, yeah, I can
Yeah.
attest to that.
Like if they have to though, the thing is though, I'd rather it not be gotcha based because there's one game that comes to mind that was ported to phones that I played a while back that had a very solid integration with the mobile device, and that's The World Ends with You.
Oh, really?
And yeah. I played that on my iPhone a long time back, and like it was the full game. You just buy one set price for the full game, despite Square Enix's over inflation of mobile games.
Yeah.
The 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 port was very solid, and they only had like in-app purchases only if you wanted additional help. Like if you needed more money or if you needed more extra strength. Like those are the kind of things that I'd like to see. Like if you buy the game, I'd rather buy a base game that I could finish from beginning to end without help, but offer that help as additional, like as an option, as opposed to it being solely revolved around it. If that kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
Mhm. But they didn't
Yeah.
like what's this? Tweak with the difficulty of the game. Because if I remember right, the Tales of Fantasia, what's that? Mobile port was really difficult. Well, not really like really difficult, but more like there were more encounters. I don't know. It was kind of harder for me.
No, right, yeah, and the difference between that and the World Ends with You example is that Tales of Fantasia was offered for free,
Ah, yeah.
and that's the entire game for free. So they were trying to like justify, hey, make these in-app purchases so that you can get through the game, as opposed to, and it's
It's
not
not a
really,
sustainable
it's
model.
no, and like a part of that too is like they also got rid of save points
I hated
that
that.
were in the
Oh
original
God.
game.
I didn't
Ugh,
know that. That's
yes.
horrible. I'm sorry.
No, it's a very valid
Mhm.
response because they were trying to justify the free price by essentially handicapping the player, and that's not a good approach, like not a user friendly approach at all. And a part of that that comes to mind is that like they had the entire game made. They could have just like released Tales of Fantasia for a set price, and then everybody would have just bought it and then just done like the additional help if they needed it. And like that's why Fantasia had so many negative reviews when it was released on mobile because of how terrible the model was. And I just hope that Crestoria doesn't follow that suit. I really do hope so, but because of current models for mobile games, I highly doubt that's going to be the case.
Like I love Tales. My patience for Tales is really long, but I didn't even like finish the first dungeon. Move Fantasia.
For Fantasia. Oh gosh.
Nope.
I have a story. I actually have this on my YouTube channel, but I recorded playing. I was streaming Tales of Fantasia on my iPad years ago, and then I got to the twin golem fight, and then I beat them. It's like, all right, great, time to progress, and then all of a sudden the app crashed. I'm
No.
like, what? Hold up, why did this happen? And then I reload it, and then I have to fight the golems again. It's like and then it was like a rougher time. I managed to like do so well the first time, but the second time didn't go so well. So I'm just uh, it's please don't do it again, Tales of. Please don't. And um, it's just okay. For Crestoria, my gameplay concerns aside, for Crestoria in terms of the setting and sort of like world building. I know Slip you mentioned Psychopaths. Is there anything else that is sort of like intriguing for both of you regarding the background of the game that we know so far?
I think part of it's also because it's not a plot line I would expect out of a Tales game.
Yeah.
I mean, technically Berseria kind of did that too. But I guess this one was like, it's like Tales going for a genre shift. I mean, it made me think about that because, I thought Berseria could have been just some sort of one-off in that sense of the word in terms of premise, but with
Mhm.
Crestoria, it seems like they're trying, experimenting, or whatever you want, whatever verb you want to use with other things. And I don't really have much of an opinion on it right now, except that I'm interested to see where it goes.
All I can really say that Other Red reminds me of Persona 5.
Oh yes. Oh God.
Other Red.
I almost
And the
forgot, but
crime
yes,
thing.
that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, oh God, this red is blinding and reminds me of Persona 5 too.
So usually, like the color scheme of the main character sort of fits the color scheme of the whatever promotion artist is, but Huger really stands out from all the color red.
He's so colorful. Well,
He's so pastel color, like everything's
yeah.
red.
Yeah, he certainly stands out compared to the color scheme. That like I'm just staring at the scan. It's like, yep, that's definitely a color clash. Look at him stand out.
Like maybe they did it on purpose.
I guess he sort of like imply his whole pariah stance in the entire game, probably. I guess with that in mind as well. For the background that this game has laid out, it does definitely intrigue me, as you mentioned, Slip, that it's something pretty much unfamiliar in Tales of. It does liken me to the older Tales of mobile games that we had on the actual flip phone back in around 2006. We had Tales of Vorheat, Tales of Tactics. I think the other one was Tales of Summons. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like it those games also did explore a little bit in their cast and if I recall correctly some of their stories. So I'm glad to see that like for those who are listening, this is the first time that Tales of has like done original stories on mobile platforms. So if you didn't know that already, so I am very much curious to see. The background is very much well established to see some intrigue for the future of this game.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested too because they they're trying a shift from like, crossover AU games or just, just plain crossover games, and that's the games they've been like releasing the past few years on mobile devices, but now they're going for a complete original again like before, as you said. So,
Like the old Tales of Mobile.
yep. So I think that's a really interesting move on their end, and yeah.
Like, I just hope it does well. Like the problem with the mobile Tales games is like they do well because they have a following. Like for Raze, for example, and then Asteria and
Hmm.
Bylink. They
Yeah.
usually have they usually have a good following because most of them that play it are Tales fans who like play it because their favorite characters are there. But this time it's a standalone, like it's just Huger over here over here. So I really hope that this it being a Tales title alone will be enough to get people to actually play it. even the non-Tales fans.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point that you bring up there because we all get in like we all went into the series based on some particular aspects of it, whether it's due to like character design or like the gameplay that we see. So, and that's just because of, like it's based on an original title as opposed to it relying on crossover elements. So, I really do hope that they show some gameplay soon because that's what attracted me to Symphonia originally. So
Mm.
that's like a big asterisk for myself because like the background is all great, but I want to see some gameplay. So I really do hope that Bamco starts to show off maybe some semblance of gameplay footage in the near future.
Yeah, that would
TGS.
be,
Yeah, TGS.
yeah, that looking forward
I
to
think they're
that.
gonna have a part of the stage on the Bamco stage. I think. Yeah, I think they announced it. Like, for the what's this? The Bandai Namco stage part of TGS. There's gonna be a segment on Crestoria.
Right,
Oh,
and I
neat.
mean like generally when it comes to those sort of presentations too for like new games, they basically only just focus on cutscenes,
Oh
and I
yeah.
use Berseria and Zesteria as reference points because a lot of the trailers they only just focus on cutscene, and the gameplay that they show like it barely even like shows the HUD in action. Like it's just nothing but gameplay, like nothing but cutscenes, but very little gameplay that they showed. So maybe it'll change under the new producer. Maybe that will be the difference shown at TGS, and that'd be very enlightening if that's the case.
I am interested in the cutscenes though. I mean, the screenshot looks great, but I'm wondering how he's gonna move. Like how the movements are, how fluid the movements will be. This is still a mobile game.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it's like something like again, like we brought it up prior when Slip mentioned about the whole choppiness of it. That's certainly something that can that is definitely a asterisk to keep in mind when TGS comes in. Regarding the trailer, the teaser trailer, there was something intriguing that occurred in the trailer because I noticed this first thing, and it's like, is that weapon Soul Edge or something? Because it seems to be responding to what when it was like held in its grasp, like it was a sentient or something. But I noticed that like it was reacting to the crest that Kanata had. So it kind of makes me wonder if there are like weapons that are like exclusive to like those who are considered criminals or something like that. Because like you see like in the opposite trailer from his perspective that his the hand shows the crest that's like marked for him being a criminal. So it glows at the same time when he grabs the blade. So I'm kind of curious if like the sword itself may be a big element to this game.
that's an interesting way of putting it.
More or less, more or less. So with that in mind as well, I've already provided my closing thoughts. Slip, is there any thoughts that you'd like to provide regarding Crestoria overall for the future?
This might be some sort of elephant in the room too, but I've been looking at it and also wondering, if it would ever be localized. So, I mean,
Uh,
oh God. I mean, I hope it would, but after what happened in the West with race,
okay.
and I'm not sure if I should be optimistic or not.
I am personally pessimistic. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I'm especially for a standalone game, like with no Tales background whatsoever. I'm not so sure. But looking at the other games, like the other games that are being released right now, a lot of them are actually being localized. I'm just not sure. Like if I remember correctly, the one handling the race localization wasn't really like a part of Bamco, like of Bandai. I mean, they're like I don't know, just a mobile localization team that was like hired or that collaborated with Bandai, I think. So I'm hoping that if it's gonna be like that, then there's still like a very slight chance. I'm not sure how that goes when it comes to the copyright and all those things.
My biggest concern when it comes to localization, we all know how jaded the localization crowd does feel about mobile Tales of games. if they went with the approach for what I mentioned prior, like the whole buy it for one price, then get additional stuff after, then I can see a localization being much more fruitful because they get the choice to keep it on their phones, even if they pulled the game from the App Store or something along those lines. But if it's going to be like another online reliant thing, then we've already seen the waters tested with Rays. So I don't have any as Avi mentioned, I don't have as much of a positive outlook on it based on history. But um I really part of me just really hopes that like if it were to come out in English localized, I I really do hope that at the end of the day, like it was able to attract some more folks to it because it's a more standardized game as opposed to relying on that whole nostalgia crossover stuff. And I feel like Crestoria, if it's given that proper push, it can sort of get that sort of reception if it were localized. And one final conspiracy theory that I have is like maybe they pulled Rays early so that they could prepare for a Crestoria localization.
Hmm.
Um,
That.
I ain't saying facts here. I'm just
But
speaking my mind. So please don't report this as news, everybody.
Yeah.
well, I think this is a good step in that direction. I mean, the mere fact that we're getting definitive edition with the one single worldwide release date, that's already something,
Yeah.
considering how it was in the past.
And like, hopefully like in the future when they release that mothership title, they would consider a worldwide release too instead of
Yes,
delaying it.
Yeah, and I guess like a part of worldwide releases are really hard to come by when it comes to Japanese games like JRPGs and all that because of the whole localization process and dubbing. Like even Nintendo struggles with that, where you see Fire Emblem games coming out 2 or 3 months after the game's initial release in Japan. So I feel like the reason why there's like a worldwide release is because, well, the game's already dubbed. They already have all the assets, so they just had to like push it forward even further with that worldwide release in mind. It was easier for them to do. So back to Crestoria. I think you've mentioned some of your closing thoughts there, Abby. Did you have anything else to add to that?
I think I'm good.
All right. Slip. Yeah, you've already mentioned yours. Did you have anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, and yeah, I've already mentioned my piece as well. Overall, I just do hope that we get some more news about the main title, whatever that's going to be. But seeing Crestoria does rejuvenate my whole. Hey, we were like following news for a Tales of game again, so it's nice to sort of like be in that sort of mode, like that mood. But yeah, it'll be a nice sort of like holdover until the next game.
Ah, definitely.
All right, so with that said, you can follow me on Twitter at PamBamRichard. Slip, did you have any minor plugs to throw in?
Um, yeah, besides the usual, like I'm on Tumblr and Twitter under Dimension Slip. I actually, this is completely unrelated, but I finally started publishing a crossover fan fiction I did with a friend, and
Oh,
it's been in the works for quite a long time. Like I backburnered it for like 4 years or something, and then I just started on it again this year, and so I'm really happy about it.
what does it crossover out of curiosity?
It's actually a crossover with Abyss and Exilia 2, and
Oh.
I said my collaborator too has been doing really great illustrations for it. So if the fic doesn't really interest you, at the very least, I think it would be nice if you check out her illustrations for it at least. It's under Archive of Our Own. The title of the fanfic is Promised Land, and yeah, it's a post Tales of the Abyss and post Exilia 2 fanfic. So
It's an
yeah,
AO3.
yes. So, that's pretty much it on my end.
All right, and is there anything else on your end, Abby, that you'd like to plug?
Not really. Like I'm really not online long these days because of work. I'm sporadically online on Twitter at Abby745 if you need to check that out. But it's really sporadic. Like if you check my posts, it's like 10 posts in a single week, all done within this span of like 2 minutes apart. So if you're okay with that,
Oh,
then
okay. That's crazy.
I only post when I have time to look and like, oh, I'm on Twitter. Okay, back to work.
Out of curiosity, since we do have you on the line here, I think this is like some people's first time hearing you, even though they've been following Abyssal Chronicles for a long time. Did you have anything that you'd like to say, particularly to all the followers of Abyssal Chronicles throughout the years?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm
Put you on the spot there.
really, yeah, you did. Really, really thankful to all the people who still support AC up until now. Number one, it is not named after my name. It's actually named after Tales of the Abyss. I'm not sure why people think that. And number two,
Well,
I'm
Abby.
really
Well, it's
no,
one letter away
Abby,
no, it
from
is
your
not.
so
nickname.
Okay,
Abby, so Chronicles, right?
no.
Yes.
I named it after Abyss because I started this when I was having so much hype for Abyss. Anyway, I'm really,
I
really
approve
happy
of
that
that.
people are still, yeah, yes, thank you. That people are still, following AC, and I really didn't expect this to blow up this much when I started it back in high school. And oh my gosh, it's been so long. And I'm really thankful to all the people who follow us, as well as to Bandai Namco for also supporting us in the long run. And I think we did not discuss this, but I think we're gonna have a Christmas contest. Are we?
Yes.
Because we usually have a.
Uh,
Oh my gosh! This cut this out when it's not supposed to be
No, no, it's
released yet.
fine. We could keep this in. It's fine. It's not a big deal. We could make that a
Yeah,
tease.
because we usually have like a major contest before a major game release. So I think Vesperia counts.
Yes.
So if it's coming out January, then a major contest would be around Christmas. See, Christmas time, I guess.
you heard the boss. We're gonna
No,
prepare a contest, so look forward to it.
and it's the first time I've heard of it.
Yes, you've heard it. You've heard it here first, everybody. There will be a contest during the Christmas season. All right. So thank you very much, Abby, for taking the time to chat with us. Thank you as well, Slip, for always keeping up with AC Radio.
Of
And for
course.
those who have tuned in, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care.